His ability to communicate with people of all nations is legendary. Would you please welcome Britain's ambassador to the new single European language, Professor Stanley Unwin!
Early forms of self-expression manifest themselves in painting, and of course you had the woad, where the early ancient Briters, which philoloped the stuff all over their form, both in glistening rebbers of ochre, deep bloom of the stone, which they have clay cave in the southern parts of the tinsel manor and all round the it's a silly eyelode. They gathered this and just sclabbered it on, and from a distance you could see the scintillators of the people who expressed themselves in this way. On the continent you had the Altamira murals, and 50,000 feet fathom they laboured and expressed in a deep fine bull drawing on the Wherm. And later, of course, romantic art, after this was discovered, they had the early Italian schooners, I think, not to confuse with Confucius of the Chinese influx, which is very far removed, and of course Confucius sailed very close to the wind on these forms of expression. The Italians, I think, were at their best at the time with the romantic scoom of the Botticelli and the Venus de Milo, of course, and nothing any to misconstrue of ugly in these deep classical 4D form. Leonardo da Vinci's and the pre-Raphaelites to Dale, which gave of the Burne-Jones, Millade, Rossetti, and there they did, for the mixing of the palettes, they had the embryo clubs of an egg, which is holding the colours together, woady again, and the ochre dust, which they gathered to gave in Sicilian crapers, mixed this half for lolloping on the sachel itself. But the canvas was used there with the camel hode or hair brushy, which they dipped it in, and also flourished in the arm pegger and wore little flat habits like a beret, and the short whiskers, of course. But what about the trend? You see, when the modern school did their interpretale with a pastiche like a Van Goghy, he would do a fine sunshine drenchy. Now he would, to express in a sunflower, would do a grup of the brown, scriddle either side for the petaloes in a deep yellow expressi, and in the back grove possibly a cypress tree and a small individual of little flower dangle in the garbage. But, of course, you see, today we have, we just get a pot of paint logos and grup it on the floor, riding a bicycle through it, and so the interpret for the artist of this. Oh, no. Far better to get a pot of paintings, several load bottles of inkit, scrup it half-load down to the wall, and stand upside down and play a skating march, because in this it would express the idea in the viewer, because everything is in the heart or the eye of the beholder. And I think that's what Shakespeare said when he said, ye who wield the brush, never get your nose and tush, because in this is the form of expression which I think today and trends for the future itself. Oh yes, it's got to be expressed in this way. You can use a pastiche knife and put a plastic chewing gum on there. There stands out the idol of little Ellie Gopper. And I think, after all, if it's come to stay, it's here with us.